Hi everyone, hope you're well, hope you're keeping safe. I've been thinking about making this video for quite a long time because the whole Wellgood antenna project has been rubbing me up the wrong way for quite a long time. But I decided before I actually made this video that I should speak to Andy, the owner and proprietor of Wellbrook Communications, because I know him, to get his view on what I'm about to say. Wellbrook Communications has been around for a long time. It's a legitimate business that's contributed, in my opinion, a huge amount to the hobby of radio, shortwave listening, DXing, etc. When I bought my first loop back in 2015, it completely changed my listening abilities. I was using a sort of random wire before then. The way that it's directional, the way that you can null noise, etc. It was kind of night and day. It was a step change in my, effectively, the signal to noise capability of my listening post from, long wave through to the end of the HF bands. And I've been using one ever since. In fact, I've now got two of them. And a lot of these antennas have been sold. Yeah, we know they're a little bit pricey, but at the end of the day, some of us, all of us, should realise that the antenna is at least as important as the receiver, if not more important, if you live in an environment where you're shrouded in electro smog, electrical noise, etc. And at the end of the day, you get what you pay for. So the Wellgood antenna project, I'm not going to name names. Those of you who are aware of this project know who started it. Came about because this guy had a Wellbrook loop and he inadvertently transmitted into it and basically damaged it, and decided that rather than hold his hands up and say, well, yeah, I've been stupid, I've broken it, I'm going to send it back for repair, I'm going to buy a new one, decided to go to the bother of having it x-rayed and then using solvents dissolve the resin that the circuit board is encased in for weatherproofing, etc., and then basically copy the schematic, the circuit diagram, and basically create his own version of the original ALA 1530 design. Now, some people think that's pretty smart. I actually think that this project, and in particular what it's been named as, the Wellgood loop, is where I come from, a total piss take. As the owner, or one of the owners of a company, a company's intrinsic value is their intellectual property, their knowledge, know-how, experience, etc., design capabilities. It's not just about the fundamentals, the commercial fundamentals, how many sales you generate, how much revenue you're generating, what's on the balance sheet, your profit and loss, etc. It's about what you're technically capable of doing, your intellectual property, and how that compares to the competition. And there are legal loopholes around this. You can copy stuff if the design's unregistered, etc. But there's also a moral issue here as well. Wellbrook Communications have been around a long time and have contributed a lot to our hobby, and to have someone come along and basically x-ray the design and create his own version, and now you can buy these kits, Wellgood kits, cheaply, I just think is morally wrong, even if the legal implications are either non-existent or slight. But the bottom line is that as someone who has at least part ownership of a business, you need to protect that. And so I spoke to Andy at Wellbrook and shared my thoughts with him, and he entirely agreed. It's basically, why has this person done this? It's not the right way to behave. And there are several implications. Obviously there's theft of IP, but that's only really an issue if the design predates a point in time where the IP wasn't registered or protected. There's Wellbrook's conditions of sale, breach of conditions of sale, which is a civil issue. Publishing copyright material, and Wellbrook own the copyright to the circuit diagram. Publishing that is actually illegal. And as I said, I'm not accusing anybody of doing anything illegal, but probably there are aspects of this that I would say are, well, it's a bit of a grey area. I personally would not be comfortable doing what this person has done to produce the Wellgood loop. I don't think it's good for the hobby. Some people might say, well, yeah, but you can buy one of these kits for, you know, whatever they are, 40 or 50 quid, and you've got to spend 250 or 260 or whatever it is now for an LA 1530. Well, yeah, so what? You know, you get what, you know, at the end of the day, you get what you pay for. I know somebody who's bought one of these kits and completely, and this is a technical term, fucked it up, and hasn't actually managed to get the thing working. So, so there you go. I felt compelled to record this video because I just don't agree with taking someone's design, IP, ideas, and copying it and making it cheaper. Do you know what I mean? We know that this sort of stuff happens in China all the time, but the guy that's done this is a fellow radio ham. You know, this is a guy that's into radio, and he's apparently a very clever guy. Apparently he's very smart indeed. But I just think that, you know, the whole thing stinks as far as I'm concerned. I would never buy one. And I would advise anybody out there thinking that this is a cheap short circuit, a shortcut to an ALA 1530, you're definitely barking up the wrong tree, because that it isn't, as far as I'm concerned. And I would basically suggest that if you can't afford one, then either save up or buy something that's been produced legitimately by a legitimate business. And we need these businesses to support our hobby. You know, we need companies like Wellbrook. You know, this company has produced an antenna that you can use in in 1 square meter of space, and deliver performance as good on certain HF bands. You know, as long as a half-wave dipole for 20 meters or whatever it is. You know, so. I just don't agree with it. I think it's wrong. I think the guy that started this project should wrap the whole thing up. It's only my personal opinion, but guess what? The guy who owns Wellbrook Communications absolutely agrees with me 100%, but feels that there's absolutely nothing he can really do now. It's all a bit too late, and I think that's a real shame. So as far as I'm concerned, I know who is standing on the moral high ground as far as Wellgood antennas are concerned, and it's not the guy that started the project. So I just wanted to make that point. The other point I'm going to make is that as far as the war in Ukraine is concerned, I've got a good friend whose partner is Ukrainian. She's obviously very concerned. I'm horrified about what's going on over there. I'm not going to get political, but at the end of the day, peace to everybody. I hope it comes to an end very, very soon. I can't sit and watch another news bulletin and seeing people injured, dying, etc. The whole thing's just literally crazy. So as far as I'm concerned, but there you go. Anyway, that's the message. I don't agree with the Wellgood project, and I would ask anybody with any kind of moral compass to don't buy one of these kits. They're rubbish, basically, compared to the real thing. Just put your hands in your pockets if you can afford one, and just buy the real thing, the ALA 1530, because I've probably used that antenna more than anyone I know, and you guys know from the videos on my website that that is an antenna that really delivers. Even though it's a little bit more expensive, it's just worth doing that and not messing about trying to build a cheap imitation that ultimately probably won't work as well. You know, and you're supporting a legitimate business that has done a huge amount for our hobby in these times where background noise has increased by a huge amount since the 1980s, for example. So that's my point of view, and I wanted to get it across. Thank you for listening and watching. Send your comments in. You know me, if I get the time, I'll answer all of them, even if it's only with a few words. But I just felt compelled to make that point. So that's it. Thanks very much. 73.